recording. So we are now recording. And I'm going to mute you all guys for now, because otherwise it makes it quite difficult. Now, just give me a little wave to confirm that you can still hear me. That would be great. If you can give me a quick thumbs up. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we're going to get going. Welcome to Inspiring Talks Brighton, to our June event. My name is Lisa Moore. I'm a personal development coach, speaker, presenter of the business show on Radio Reverb, and I'm rocking it as a single mum of 2 teenage girls. My day job, I run a company called Fit for More, and I help people who have lost their confidence and their self-belief, and I help them to get all of that back and be as motivated and confident and as healthy as they possibly can. So I just wanted to tell you about a guest speaker event that I did earlier this month for the lovely Katie Phillips, who runs the School of Self-Love. Some of you may have come across her, some of you may not. She lives locally to me. And actually, she asked me to come in and do a guest speaker slot on motivation. So how many of you here have ever suffered with not feeling motivated or struggling to get motivated? So the problem with motivation is it actually doesn't come before you start. So the problem is when you're waiting to feel motivated, you'll be waiting forever. Because actually, if you break the words down, motivation, it's 2 words. So motive, so you need to have a reason why. And action means that you have to do something. So the answer to becoming truly motivated is, first of all, you have to really, really know why you want to achieve what you want to achieve. Because if you haven't got that, you will struggle to get motivated. But you have to just start. So let me give you an example. Have you ever had to do a big clear out? Maybe you've cleared your wardrobe out, or you've cleared your desk, or the kitchen cupboards, or something like that. And once you get going, you actually find you're motivated and you want to get it done. Of course, there is one little problem with that, because if it's a should, so I should tidy my cupboard, I should tidy my desk, or maybe your mum when you were a teenager said you really should tidy your room, you actually might not feel very motivated to do it. So a little tip is, think about the thing that you should do, and then I want you to think about whether or not, is it a should that you told yourself you should do, or is it a should that somebody else has told you to do, i.e. your mother, your partner, the world, the media. And if it's either of those things, turn it into a could. So I could tidy my desk, I could tidy out my kitchen cupboards, because then you make it a choice. Because then you can decide, so I could tidy my desk, but actually I don't really want to, I don't really see the point. Then you make a choice, you make a decision. However, if you make the decision that you do want to do it, you will probably be doing it because you have a reason why. So if you go back to the example of the teenager tidying their bedroom, their mum has said to them, you should tidy your room, it's disgusting. And I do tell my children that. But if they know it's a should, they probably won't want to do it. However, if they've got a new girlfriend, boyfriend, partner that's coming around for the very first time and they're going to visit their bedroom, then actually it might be a little bit more important for them to tidy their bedroom. Or it might not. So if you want to get more motivated, turn it into a could and make a choice. Do you or don't you? And think about the true reason behind what you want to do. And then just take the first little step towards what you want to achieve, because then the motivation will start to come. Now, Norton's just sent me a message to say that my mic's not very good, so just wanted to double check. Can you all hear me? Is it not brilliant? Right, I've muted and unmuted. I'm just going to unmute all of you. You can tell me. So,
yeah, you're very scratchy.
Talk now, and then we'll see.
Okay, so
no, it's just while we were all muted.
Hang on, I'll mute you all again. So, is it working now? Is it better now? Yes, I'm getting a few thumbs up. It's very irritating. Okay, just let me know if you can't hear me in the future. So hopefully you heard my little spiel about getting motivated, but if you didn't, you didn't. Let me tell you a little bit about Inspiring Talks Brighton and how the evening will run. I want first of all to let you know that this is a really safe space. Oh, it's gone again.
Can you leave us so we just don't talk?
I'll leave you so you can't talk. If you all keep quiet, can you hear me better now if I'm muted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is, but I'll leave you unmuted. So just be aware if you've got any televisions, radios or anything on in the background, or other people in your house, because we can hear them. I can hear people talking right now.
I think if we mute ourselves, it's better than if you mute you.
Yeah. Okay. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So Inspiring Talks Brighton is a safe place. It's a space where there is no judgment. And I just really wanted to give you a little disclaimer is that you may hear...
Frozen, Lisa.
Yeah. We've lost
Sorry?
you, Lisa.
You can't hear me.
I was thinking it was me with the microphone. I kept
Yeah, I was
touching
thinking
my
that too.
wire.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, you're back.
Hello.
I'm back.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're back.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. I didn't realise I'd gone actually. Because I'm still here. So anyway, I'm back and hopefully you can hear me. Actually, I did get a little message saying that my internet was unstable, so that could be why the speakers weren't working. So I'm going to start all over again, just to let you know, Inspiring Talks Brighton is a safe place. It is a place of no judgment. You may hear things from the speakers that you don't agree with. You may hear things that don't resonate with you, and that's fine. All I ask of you is to have an open mind and to listen and allow the speakers their voice. Because Inspiring Talks Brighton is all about speakers being able to be seen and to be heard. And if any of you have ever given a speech or been up on stage, it's quite a scary thing to do. So we're here to support them, to give them that safe space, to allow them to tell us what they want to share with us. So as an audience, you have that important role to play in that you hold that space for our speakers. Often when we're human beings, we get frustrated when we don't feel heard. If you want to have a conversation with your boss or your partner or your friend and you're telling them, but they're just not listening, it's extremely frustrating. So allow that space for the speakers to be heard. So my job as hostess at Inspiring Talks Brighton is to ensure that you leave with a smile on your face, a light in your heart, and a head full of inspiration. That is what I will ask you at the end of the evening, whether we have achieved that. That's what we want you to feel when you go away. The speakers, when they speak, will be spotlighted, so they will appear big on your screen, which is how I should be appearing right now. So you will get the speaker on your screen. If you have any questions or if you hear something during the speech that is interesting, pop it into the chat box, because it's nice for our speakers to see a little bit of interaction. And at the end of their talks, I will then ask them the questions that you've put in. So it gives you an opportunity to sort of really get to know our speakers and find out a bit more about what they do. So we're going to have 3 speakers and then we're going to have a break. After the break, we have the opportunity to become a risky biscuit. Now, for those of you that don't know Inspiring Talks Brighton or have never been or have no idea what a risky biscuit is, a risky biscuit is an opportunity to take over the screen and to share a story, to share your thoughts, to share something that happened to you that could inspire people, or really just, you know, if you have that urge to get up here and say something, let me know. So if you want to be the risky biscuit, please put in the chat box that you would like to be the risky biscuit, and then you can go after the break. You get about 5 minutes and you can say whatever you like. If we don't have a risky biscuit, then we will just crack on with our last 2 speakers. So let me know. If you are the risky biscuit, just to say, no religious or political speeches, but anything else goes. We do allow swearing, Inspiring Talks. So for any of you out there that may get offended by Rory's doing the fist bump, any of you out there that are a little bit offended by swearing, just be aware that there might be some. But if there isn't, there isn't. So just a little warning. Now I need to double check that Carole is here. She is here.
I am.
Yay. So I am going to introduce our first speaker. Now, Carole, bless her, jumped in to take this slot at 3 o'clock this afternoon, pretty much. So I think that is an incredible thing to do. It's incredibly brave to just jump in and go, yeah, go on, I'll go for it. I found a little bit about Carole on her Facebook page. So I'm just going to read out her little bio to let you know all about her. So personal circumstances led Carole to question her sense of normality. The biggest realization was how she trained herself to be dependent on medication, people and circumstances to feel good. And feeling good seemed a random act that was just granted to the lucky. So today, she feels better than ever. And whilst experiencing a fair share of challenges, still, she feels immensely grateful for them, as it is the best tool to clarify her vision and grow into a grander version of herself. Passionate about sharing her findings, Carole offers a multidisciplinary approach, and she has studied massage, healing, nutrition, metamorphic technique, which I've never heard of, so I'd like to know more about that, EFT, hypnotherapy. But tonight, I believe that she is going to attempt to make us all laugh. So I'm going to cancel my spotlight. I'm going to find Carole. I'm going to change to gallery view. If I can find you on my screen. Wave at me, Carole. So, there you are, there you are, there you are. I'm going to spotlight you. I'm going to hand over to you. When we get towards your end of your 20 minutes, my lovely, I'll wave frantically.
All right.
So you know.
Eyes up here.
So, over to Carole. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. You made a last point actually, and I was gonna start. Actually, no, you started with something that you wanted everyone to leave with a smile on their face. So I hope that everyone will have a smile on their face before the end of this mini. It's not actually going to be a talk. We're going to laugh together. I'm going to try not to talk too much. I wasn't quite prepared for a 20 minutes talk around the subject. I could wing it, but we're gonna use laughter yoga. Has anyone done laughter before? Is anyone familiar with it? Not really. Okay, so laughter yoga comes from India originally. And it was developed by a doctor, an Indian doctor called Dr. Kataria. And he was doing some research around the benefits of laughter. He had to write an article about it, and he was so taken by what he found out that he created a little club, and they were meeting in parks. And initially they were sharing jokes, and it was all good. But very quickly, everybody was running out of jokes. It was getting a bit dirty jokes and a bit offensive for some people, and it wasn't quite working. And he was about to give up until he remembered that in his research, he found out that you didn't actually need a reason to laugh. You would still get the benefit. So even if you're feeling really down and you just, you go, body will not know the difference. You will automatically start releasing chemicals, a whole host of chemicals, hormones that will make you feel good. And that's what I'm most passionate about. I'm passionate about feeling good myself, but I'm really passionate about making others feel good, and not just when they're in my company. So I am not going to make you laugh per se. I'm going to encourage you to laugh. We're going to play exercises. This is what Dr. Kataria then developed. He did a bit of drama at school, so he sort of relied on some drama exercises that he used to do. So we have a whole host of laughter exercises that we can use. People invent new ones all the time. We certainly have had lots of different ones during lockdown. And it's a very new thing to do it online. Since lockdown, it's so only in the last 3 months, no one had ever attempted it online before. But in the last 3 months, the laughter yoga clubs have blossomed on Zoom. And it's been working beautifully. So I've already shared the idea. You don't need to even want to laugh. It doesn't matter. You can just smile. You almost force it to start it. But very, very quickly, you don't have to force it because it's so funny. It's just so silly, you know, it's playful. And this is what we want to initiate as well, playfulness, because as adults, we tend to leave that aside. We brush it aside. We get very serious and either career-oriented, or we just get so serious about everything. And if you watch children, you know, they can get incredibly intense, but they're going to come back to the playfulness rather quickly. And so the laughter clubs are a very safe place to do that for us. Because as adults, we don't really play in the streets like children would. I know that it's the thing that I miss the most as a mother. My daughter is 23 years old now, so I don't really play with her that much in the street, obviously. But when she was young, I was incredibly playful, and I loved it. It's one of the things that I love the most about being a mother. And little by little, she got older, and I lost that. And so having the laughter clubs is a wonderful way to bring it into our lives. And I feel very privileged to be part of the family and run the clubs now as well, so that I can get my fix of laughter. So we're going to, unless there are any burning questions now, we're going to dive straight into some of the exercises. So just a few points. Sorry, I'm just going to make myself ready and comfortable for it. Okay.
Carole, just quickly, shall I unmute everybody for this? Or shall
okay.
I...
Oh, yes. Sorry, I didn't realize that everybody was muted again. So yes, if we could all be unmuted, because obviously hearing others, you know.
I'm unmuted.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so in between exercises, we will do, I'll demonstrate, we'll put our hands together, sort of, you know, as if you were going to pray, but we're not going to pray. It's just to clap, but we don't want to clap. We want both our hands, you know, we want to touch, the palms of our hands to touch, because it's to stimulate the pressure points. So in between exercises, to indicate that we have finished an exercise and we're going to go on to another one, we will go, very good, very good, yay. And we repeat. So maybe we'll do that together, and you know, just add a smile. Yeah? So, very good, very good. Yay! Beautiful. Occasionally we will interrupt as well, and we will do some deep breathing. The reason it's called laughter yoga, it's got nothing to do with yoga. I'm not going to ask you to get into any yoga postures, in case you were wondering. I tend to call it laughter, exactly, like, we could. Sometimes just for a laugh, I use some of the yoga postures, but I tend to call it laughter more than laughter yoga. A lot of people get it funny about the yoga part, and they think like, oh my God, you know, is she going to ask me to bring my leg behind my head, and, you know, all kinds of things like that. But recently, call it laughter yoga.
This is actually quite good. Because by the time it sounds like...
Because someone is talking in the background here. If you have some background noise, like if someone is talking around you, can you mute yourself until it's quieter? It will make it much more pleasant for everyone. Yeah. Thank you guys. What was I saying? Okay, the laughter yoga part. So the yoga part is the deep breathing. This is where the yoga comes into play. We want to breathe in between laughter exercises. Believe me, when you have an hour laughter session, you do not want to laugh for 1 hour. It would be exhausting. It's a real workout. It will stimulate your immune system. It's a fantastic painkiller. We've already covered how it makes you feel good, because it releases endorphins and all kind of wonderful chemicals. I mean, it's a wide range of benefits that you get, but one of them is actually a workout. You really get to work your abs. What I would like you to really go for is a hearty belly laugh. You really want to get the laughter down in your belly. So we're engaging the diaphragm and the belly. This is when you will really get the benefits of laughter. Yeah? Okay, so without further ado, let's start. So we're going to warm up a little bit. Can everybody see me properly? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of warm up. I want you with sounds. So I really want you to exaggerate. We're going to use the sound O, and then and then and and we're going to add some movements to it. Let me just stand up so you can see. We're going to tap on our tummies to start with, just starting to awaken and stimulate the body. And when we tap on the tummy, we use the sound O. So we're going to go ho, ho, ho. And then on the chest, it would be ha, 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 ha. And the neck would be and the head would be silly yet? Yes. Okay, so on the count of 3, let's all do it together. We're starting with the belly, with the sound O. So 1, 2, 3. Ho, 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 ho. Hey, 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 hey.
Oh no, my dogs.
Okay, so now I want you to make a fist, and I want you to think if you've had anything that, if you've had any stresses either this week or any stresses in your life, I mean, whatever you can think of that you think as a stress and that brings tension. Maybe you've had an argument with someone, maybe you have no reason, there's just tension or pain. If you've got any pain, I want you to put it all onto it, like, and then we're gonna release it with a hearty laugh. If your computer is too near you and you can't release it in front of you without breaking the computer, then do it to the side or do it upwards, yeah? Just a big hearty belly laugh. So, tense, put it all in there, and again, let's do it again, just in case there's anything left. Very good.
Yay.
Very good.
Yay.
Is it different already? It doesn't take long usually before we shift. Okay, so our next one, we're gonna make a cocktail. You can have a mocktail if you want, but let's go for a cocktail for most of us, I'm sure. So we're gonna have our ingredients and we're gonna mix them, going woo, woo, wee, and shaky woo, woo. And when we drink it, this is when we have a big hearty laugh, something like that. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah? So, ready? We've got our ingredients? Okay.
That works.
Yeah, let's have a teeny tiny one. You'll feel dry by the end of it. Dry from laughter. Let's have a teeny tiny one. Then bring your hands together and just put 2 fingers up, and we're gonna do our very, very good with just our 2 fingers. So it's gonna be a little very good. So we go very good,
Very good.
Yay.
Very good.
Very
good.
Okay, let's take a deep breath in. So raising your arms from the side above your head, stretching up. Make sure you relax your shoulders, palms of your hands together. And as you breathe out, just lower your hands in front of your chest. And again, deep breath in, raising your arms above your head from the side, stretching up to the ceiling, relaxing your shoulders, palms of the hands together. The last one at your own rhythm. Just make sure it's a deep breath, but at your own rhythm. next exercise, our next exercise is we're gonna zip our mouth. So we literally zip, and then we zip, we laugh. Yeah. So.
It's you. You're making us laugh.
I like that one.
Well, I facilitate the laughter, that's for sure. I do facilitate it, yes, granted. But I'm not a comedian. Although some people may disagree with that statement. I think people would say that I kind of am a comedian. Our next exercise, we're going to do the gradient laugh. So we're going to start with a very, very low key laugh, you know, like, and then we're going to increase it in intensity until we burst out laughing. And then we will start going down again. And we'll finish with a silent laughter. So when we laugh silently, we're still engaging the core muscles, yeah? You can still feel that everything is working inside, yeah? So this is how we will finish it. And then we'll just burst out laughing if we want. But let's just see how it goes, yeah? So starting really, really low key.
Oh, it's gone quiet now.
This is when we can't hold it anymore. Very good.
Oh.
Very
Good.
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 Very good.
Very good.
And one little exercise that we've been doing quite a lot during lockdown, because we've all been washing our hands quite a lot in the last 3 months, more than usual. And usually I'd like to add a little song, but it would take a little longer to learn it. So we're just going to get some soap and we're going to wash our hands and we're going to laugh, right? So I'm going to try and show my hands to the camera so you can see like, okay, so we're getting some soap.
I'm so glad you came, Carole.
Oh dear.
Very good. Very
Very
good.
good.
Yay.
Very good.
Good.
Very good. Yay.
Let's take a deep breath in. Stretching our arms out, palms of the hands together. Breathing out, bring the palms of your hands. Breathe out through the mouth, but always breathe in through the nose. Okay. Twice more, you do it at your own rhythm. Just make sure that you're really using your belly and your diaphragm as you breathe. Full breath. Okay, let's go. Lisa, how much longer do we have?
Hang on 2 seconds. You have about a minute and a half.
A minute and a half.
Mm.
Ooh, okay. Really not long. Okay, so my God, there's so much I want you to do. Okay, so normally during a session, the last 20 minutes of the session, so we play games often as well, which we won't have time to do now, but we usually play games as well, and we do what we call free laughter, which is just laughing for no reason. So we're gonna do that just for a very short time, and then we finish with a meditation. So we're gonna do a very, very short, I mean, incredible, like 30 seconds of it, but let's go. Just laughing freely, just looking at each other on the screen and just laughing. And you can play with different laughter. And I'd like you to bring your hands to your heart, to the center of your chest. And we're gonna do some very, very fast heart focus meditation, which is another one of my love. So bring your attention to the center of your chest, to your heart center. And you can probably feel inner smiles by now. Just focus on those inner smiles, particularly the inner smile in your chest. Just feel how good it feels. And allow your breathing to relax. Taking slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Keeping the focus on your beautiful, light, happy heart. Allowing the breathing to relax, allowing the body to relax with each breath you take. Just surrendering to your body and how it feels after laughing for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay present with your heart, with your body, in your space, right here, right now. And take a deep breath in through the nose. Hold. And breathe out through the mouth. And again, deep breath in through the nose. And hold. And breathe out through the mouth. One more time, one last time. Deep breath in through the nose. Hold, stay focused on your heart. And breathing out. And you can open your eyes.
Carole, that was absolutely wonderful.
And welcome back. Oh my God, I wish we had another 20 minutes for that.
Oh, that was fantastic. And I hope that everybody enjoyed that. I'm sure you did. Does anybody have any questions quickly for Carole? Rory, you put your hand up, or are you applauding? You're applauding. Oh, well done. Let me just check the chat box. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Carole, if anybody wanted to find you, how could they come and how could they find out about what you do? Obviously, you're doing online at the moment.
Yes, so I run, at the moment, I run a laughter group on Friday evening. So tomorrow, if anyone wants to join, I post the link on my Facebook page, but I'll give you the details of my professional page. And we laugh for a bit longer than that, way longer than that, in fact. And we do a heart focus meditation after. So a good half hour which is not what you normally do in a laughter session. A laughter session finishes with about 10 minutes meditation.
Yeah. In
my particular group, I also do the heart focus meditation. We don't have much time to talk about that now, but it's an absolutely amazing practice, one of the most grounding, amazing things that I've ever gotten involved with.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Quickly, yeah.
Oh, Carole, what was the name of the Indian doctor that started the whole?
Dr. Kataria. Dr.
Kataria. Can you tell Lisa this? Yeah.
If you could, Carole, if you could just put in the chat box your details and the name of the doctor, that would be fantastic. And then
I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah. So I'll give the details of my Facebook page, and also my phone number is a very good way to get in touch with me. I like talking to people directly.
Yeah.
That's kind of my favorite way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was really, really good. I'm going to carry on talking without muting you all, so just let me know. I think that we had a little bit of background noise going on with a radio or a TV or something, so just make sure that you haven't got it on in the background, because it's a bit distracting. Okay, now we're going on to our second speaker of the evening, the lovely Wendy Capewell. Fear is just thought. Now let me tell you a little bit about Wendy. So Wendy has a passion for helping people to get to the root cause of what is getting in their way of achieving the success they crave. So using 15 years of professional experience together with a lifetime of personal experiences, of which there are quite a few. So let me just give you a quick list. So she beat polio. She had a period of depression and breast cancer. Single mom following a divorce and an abusive relationship. So she survived many, many bumps in the road, which enables her to empathize, support and guide those that she works with. So let me introduce the lovely Wendy. I'm going to find you on the screen, Wendy. I have to keep looking. There she is. Lovely. I'm going to spotlight your video, and I will give you a little wave when you get towards the end of your 10 minutes. So just watch out.
Okay, brilliant.
Over to you, Wendy.
Okay. Oh, wasn't that lovely? Can you hear me, everybody? Yeah. That was a great start to the evening, wasn't it? So thank you for that, Carole. Now I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that we're only born with two fears? The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. So everything else is down to conditioning, which means that we have an opportunity to make changes if we wish to. They're not always that easy though, aren't they? So I'm going to tell you about an experience I had where I really challenged some of my fears. So in 2017, I made a trip to Australia and New Zealand via Singapore. So there were 9 destinations, 14 flights in 38 days. And that was quite a tight schedule, as you can imagine. It was amazing. Most of the time I traveled on my own, which is fine by me. I'm quite happy to travel on my own. I really new experiences, I meet new people, and it's great. I did stay with 3 lots of friends along the way, and that was really nice too. Anyway, one of the highlights was a helicopter flight at dawn over Uluru, Ayers Rock. That was absolutely amazing. I finally ended up in Queenstown, which is in South Island of New Zealand. I arrived at my hotel and wow, the scenery was beautiful. There's a lake in front of me and above it are mountains. So it was spectacular. This town though, this destination is all about outdoor sports and outdoor activities. And I'm not sporty. I never have been. Just not me. I've tried most things, but from the age of 12, when it was tried to climb a rope, and I never managed that, to ice skating and all, you know, all the other things. Just not me. So what am I going to do when I'm there? Now, when I was in Melbourne, my friends had talked to me and they said, you're going to do a bungee jump in Queenstown. What? Me? I'm terrified of heights. You must be joking. And what did I do? I booked a bungee jump. So there I went, off I went. And I was fine because I just thought, okay, I'll be fine. And I just booked it and didn't think too much about it. And off I went. Arrived at the bridge where it happens, Carole Bridge, which is very famous. I'm probably pronouncing it correctly. And I was greeted by some youngsters who were all chatty and very friendly.
It's a laughter workshop.
They helped me on with my gear and strapped my ankles together. I was in a harness, and that's okay. So I kind of walked to the edge. You know, I'm standing there with all these people around me, and then I kind of like went to the guy's talking to me, and he said, right, I want you to move slowly forward. Okay. I can't walk. All I can do is shuffle because my ankles are tied together. So I shuffled a bit, keep moving forward. And then I had to kind of cross over, and I'm standing on a tiny platform on the outside of the bridge. And that was when the fear hit me. Oh my God, my heart was beating like it was going to jump out of the chest. I was full of fear. My hands were sweating and my legs were like jelly. And what was I doing here? You know, I'm thinking, this is crazy. Why am I standing on this bridge? This is dangerous. I could hurt myself. I could die. What if the rope breaks? And the other voice is saying, you're okay. This is this is a reputable company. You're going to be fine. You know that you've been harnessed. You're going to be okay. But you know, that's what the fight or flight response, that's what was happening to me. And then I think, okay, I can do this. And then he said to me, look up and wave at the crowd. Wave into the camera and smile. Wave? Smile? You must be joking. Anyway, I looked up tentatively, and there I was, this crowd. I could see them on the bridge, trying to smile. But you know when your teeth get stuck to the top of your lip? It's all like a dress. Okay. So then he said, right, on the count of 3, I want you to go forward. I want you to go. Oh, what do I do? Do I jump? How do I do it? 1. All right, what am I going to do? I'll just fall. I'll be all right. Well, what do you do when you're, shut your eyes. You always shut your eyes at the dentist because you'll be fine then. You can't see what's happening. 2. And I'm really really breathing now. I'm really scared. 1. Okay, that's it. Falling. And I'm falling. And I'm thinking, I've got to open my eyes because this is the most amazing, most spectacular thing that ever happened. How awesome is this? I could see the river beneath me and the banks beside me. And I had this rush of adrenaline. And this time it's elation. Wow, I've done it. I've actually done a bungee jump. I couldn't believe it. I did it on the 1st of April. Can you believe it? Most of my friends thought it was a joke. An April Fool's joke, but I actually did this jump. So what I wanted to say, you know, although I had all those feelings, and yes, they were physical sensations, but they were also in my head. So is fear just a thought? Can we overcome those fears? I believe we can. I don't think you have to do a bungee jump to prove the point by any means. You know, everybody's not going to want to do a bungee jump, for goodness sake. But you know those things that you think, I can't do this. Somebody might laugh at me, or there's something you're fearful of making a fool of yourself. You know what? If you don't try it, how will you ever know what it's like? You know, it doesn't matter. Just take those small steps, challenge yourself, because there is, push your boundaries. Because what's the worst that can happen, really? So I'd like to leave you with something I read this morning. I don't know if any of you watched The Repair Shop. Jay Blades, any of you know The Repair Shop and Jay Blades?
Yeah.
Okay. So I saw, when I opened up LinkedIn this morning, this is what he'd written. We waste our time waiting for a path to appear, but it never does. Because we forget that paths are made by walking, not waiting. And we forget that there's absolutely nothing about our present circumstances that prevents us from making progress again. One tiny step at a time.
Well done, Wendy. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Actually, that links in quite nicely to the start of the meeting, talking about motivation. That was such a really great quote. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And you're very brave for doing a bungee jump. I don't think I could do that. I don't know. You never know. So, has anybody got any questions for Wendy? If you have, just pop your hand up in the air, or just pop it into the chat box. So Wendy, if you after you've done your speech, if you can put all your details into the chat box for us, but just tell us how can people find you?
Yeah, I'm on most social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I've got a website and it's Wendy Capewell. You can see my name at the bottom. .co.uk is my website. And I work with individuals and couples, and my passion is working with couples to help them have great relationships. So that's how you can find me. Question. All right.
Yeah, let's have a look. Was there a question? Let me see. Fantastic descriptions of jump. Yes, it was actually. I could feel my palms starting to get sweaty just listening to that. Because you can picture it. It must be that bridge that they always show. That it's really. How high is it?
Hey, I forgot to tell you that part. It's 43 meters, 141 feet.
That's quite high, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's about two. Yeah, if you put two houses on top of each other, that would be probably about the height. So it's not the highest one. There is a higher one there, but that was the highest one I did. I actually booked, because I got, by this time, I think by the end of the trip, I really had got very much braver, and I was out to do anything, and it was so exciting, the whole thing. And the next day I booked to do a skydive, but unfortunately the weather changed. It was just I went in at 9 o'clock and they said, oh no, it's too windy. Come back at 1, and went back at 1 o'clock and they said, no, it's still not right. And then they said, oh, try 4 o'clock, which I did again. And oh, maybe you could try tomorrow. I said, I can't, I'm flying back to England. So
have you done it since though? Have you done it?
No, I'd love to go back there and do it there. And one of my friends in New Zealand, she said what we should do is you two of you go on a swing across a canyon, and she said, oh, maybe we should do that.
Maybe you should. Well done, Wendy. Very, very brave. Lovely story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more speaker. Let me just unspotlight, cancel the spotlight. Oh, sorry. That's my dog.
Dog's turn.
Sorry. That's not a lot I can do about that. Shush. Don't you just love this? Okay, if you can hear me. The lovely Rory Berry had jumped in at the last minute. Sherbert, come here. No. Okay. A little bit about Rory. Born in Cape Town, South Africa, Rory runs Rory Berry coaching and training business. And he came to West Sussex and his business via summer camp in the USA and 10 years of the performing arts. Adding a bachelor's in management to his creative arts experience has enabled him to look into situations with a very unique perspective, using improv as a metaphor or vehicle for delivery of coaching and training. So he's going to talk about improv and life and how the lessons of improv can help us to be better versions of ourselves and help us to navigate the madness of times like this with a different perspective. So I am now going to find Rory on the screen. Wave at me, Rory. There you are. Lovely, lovely, lovely. You need to unmute yourself as well. Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you.
Fear not, I'm ready to rumble.
Fabulous. So I'll wave at you when you get to about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Marvelous.
Wonderful stuff. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the mischief. I trust that you're all well liquidized. And if you're using a mug, we all know that there's gin in there, but well done for disguising it under the guise of a coffee cup. Well done, all of you. We've all done the Zoom tricks. We've all done the Zoom tricks. So who am I, where am I from, and how did I end up in West Sussex? Originally born in Cape Town, South Africa, I almost became an accountant. No offense to the accountants in the room. You're all lovely, but tax and I just don't be friends. There's a lot of numbers and maths is hard, and that's the real reason we didn't play together. So I ended up via the advertising industry working in the States at a summer camp on the Crystal Coast of North Carolina, where I spent 4 years basically being a professional counselor, where I was paid to just have fun at summer camp. And so I would have summer in America and then back to summer in Cape Town and summer. So I had endless summer for 5 years. Through that time, I discovered that I absolutely love helping people be the best version of themselves, or as I like to say now, the version of themselves that they were always destined to be. I met somebody there called Captain Lloyd, who was our camp director, and he, honestly, if you were to sort of take him apart, he would be skeleton and heart, and that's pretty much all he was. The man was all heart all the time, and he just oozed love of the world and love of life, and he really inspired me to find myself through this time. One of the things that one of the kids said in my third summer was, "You're always telling us to follow our dreams. Why aren't you an actor?" And I went, "What?" And he said, "I see you on stage on a Sunday. You're having a ball." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I am." So I had one more summer at camp, and then I went back to Cape Town, and I found and absolutely had the greatest time in the performing arts. I spent 10 years as a full-time professional actor, doing TV commercials, a little bit of series work, tons of theater, where I did 8 years of improvised theater. I do have a rather random fact in that I have actually died of the Black Plague on British TV. So that's a fun thing to randomly have in the talk. Great for dinner parties. And so through my improv, I discovered something that would change my life. And I fell in love with improv when I went to see a show for a friend's birthday party. And there was a lady that was a Rubik's Cube at a party where no one could speak any language other than gibberish. And I watched this scene play out, and this person contort themselves and then return back to human, and then contort themselves and return back to human. And I knew that I had to be part of that. I knew that I had to go and play. So I followed up with them. I went and found out exactly how they worked. I did their training courses, and I was absolutely blessed to be able to play, literally play, for a good 6.5 years after finishing all of my training. And one of the things that I absolutely love about improv, and one of the beautiful, beautiful things that I think that improv can teach the world, is its concept of yes and, where whatever you're given in a scene by your scene partner on stage, you say yes, so you receive it, and then you say and then you build on it. And you make it absolutely magical. And by doing that, you receive and then you give. And it becomes a beautiful symbiotic relationship of flow, movement, mystery, and sometimes even laughter, because we actually do get to say funny things. And one of the things that people often assume about improv is that it's always going to be a barrel of laughs. And while there is often fun, and it is often funny, when you're doing an improvised soap opera for 13 hours to try and raise money to help a charity, you can only be funny for so many of those minutes, because by hour 11, you're kind of melting of everything because you're just trying to create. So it's storytelling as much as it is about humor. And so that yes and concept is such a beautiful way to interact with people in the world. Whatever they give you, you say yes to, and then let's see how we can add more to it. At times, there was a possibility where sometimes somebody gave you something you didn't like, you didn't want. Saying no blocked a scene. Saying no prevented magic and wonderful and beautiful happening. So having that yes and was a beautiful way to just create together. We were always told, park your agenda, it's not about your ego. And so it becomes this beautiful shift from me to we. When I'm on stage, it's my job to make my scene partner look good. And it's their job to make me look good. So my ego is parked backstage, my agenda is parked backstage, and we create together. If you think about right now, in this mad, wonderful, crazy, all sorts of weird words, good and bad, to describe what's going on, there's been such a shift from me to we. People that wouldn't have spoken to their neighbor have been outside on Thursday nights clapping and chatting and missed it when we had to stop. No, you can still talk to your neighbor. You don't need an excuse like clapping outside. People have gone and bought groceries for people that live down the street that are vulnerable or lonely and they know they can't have family. That's a shift from me to we. And that community mindset enables us to find a way to put the human back in humanity, to oversimplify it. And that for me has been one of the beautiful, beautiful things about this time. The other thing about acting and improv is there's such power in brevity and taking a beat. In a scene, if you take that brief moment to pause and draw your audience in and reflect and find the gravitas, but also find the delight, the surprise, because we've just slowed down long enough. Magic can happen. And right now, the world has been gifted the most unique opportunity to take a beat. We've been gifted an opportunity, and I'm just to be clear, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that all this is fun and roses. There's obviously a lot of serious stuff going on. But if you look at all the opportunities that we've been given to take a beat, to spend time with friends and family, socially distanced, of course. But there's families that have actually spoken to each other for more than 5 minutes because they've actually hung out together for more than 5 minutes. There's people that have found their gardens that were like just outside the back door and they hadn't seen for years. And now there's magical creations appearing in people's gardens because they've actually celebrated in this time. And so if you can take nothing else away from tonight, I think that absolutely laugh more. Thank you, ma'am. But most importantly, in finding an opportunity to take a beat in whatever you're doing, you can find clarity, you can find peace, and you can find an opportunity to have structure going forward. The last thing I want to share about improv, and one of the beautiful things that it's taught me and it can teach the world, is in improv, we treat a mistake as a gift because we're 100% present in the moment as what we are doing. And so I can't walk off stage if I do something wrong. We have to finish the scene. So we accept that mistake and we celebrate it and we dance around it and we find the magic that we can have. And then the scene plays out and then we go off stage, and then we can reflect and figure out what we could have done differently next time if we wanted to. So take those away with you. Think about things about me to we. Think about yes and. How can you take what people have given you, amplify it to celebrate with them, and take it to the next level for them? Think about how you can park your own agenda, take a beat, and celebrate any mistakes as gifts and opportunities to learn. And who knows, you might just have a little bit of mischief along the way. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Rory. That was amazing.
Fantastic.
Really, really good. And I love that. Treat a mistake as a gift, because you can apply that in every single part of your life, can't you?
Absolutely.
Really,
Apologies
really
for the train.
Yeah, really, really good. Now, has anybody got any questions for Rory?
Just in terms of the sort of particular stuff, I'm on LinkedIn where I do a lot of my stuff, Facebook a little bit. The business is called Rory Berry. Website is there currently, but it's getting an exciting new revamp, which will be up in about 6 weeks. So if you can wait 6 weeks, look at the new exciting one. If you can't, look at me now and come back in 6 weeks and play again.
And I think you've got something happening in Horsham a little bit later on in the year, haven't you? Which sounds interesting.
That, yes. Yes, I do. When we're all allowed to come and play together in person, I am going to be launching a what I call Improv for Life class in Horsham, where we will come together and we will just play improv games and learn the beautiful nuances of improv and how we can apply it to, if you want to be a performer, go wild. But if you want to just be you and the best version of you and getting up to mischief version of you, come on down. We'll have lots of fun. I promise there'll be lots of laughter, Miss Carole. And we can then have just a grand adventure where we just play, but go deeper into your understanding of some of those beautiful things. Sorry, I just saw a thing pop up in the chat.
Question. What age can you talk to? So could you? I think the question is,
yes.
Can you do improv with a 14-year-old? Don't see why not.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, they're better at it than us, because as adults we do that whole "I'm a grown-up, I have to be serious" thing. The biggest lie we tell ourselves.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rory. That was amazing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are now halfway through. I'm going to ask one more time. Anybody interested in being a risky biscuit? Because you need to let me know now, because you will be on after the break if you would like.
What sort of thing do you want, Lisa? What sort of thing do you want, John?
Anything you like, Linda. You have 5 minutes to tell a story, share something, share some wisdom.
Oh, goodness.
Anything that's made an impact on your life.
I could do a short, funny, amusing story. It may not be 5 minutes.
Yeah, five.
Do you want to do it now?
No, you can have a break, get yourself prepared. Okay. So we're going to have a little break. What's the time now? So it's just past, it's 10 past. So let's come back into the room at 20 past. And so grab a drink, grab a coffee, grab a gin and tonic, glass of wine, whatever you like. Have a comfort break. And we will be back here at 20 past 9. And the lovely Linda Hardman is going to be our risky biscuits. I'll see you in a bit, guys.
How does sound hide?
Maybe. What's the light like? Maybe to move that a bit better. Maybe better to have the light on. Looks like that now.
Okie dokie. I will just come in and say, I'm back. Get yourself settled down.
This won't be long, Lisa. It's going to be quite short.
It's fine, Linda. You've got 5 minutes. You can take 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And I'm not going to give you any lights to turn on and off. So, and you're
well, yeah, is that a bit too bright?
Helen, the lady's come back on the computer.
Is that better or too dark?
That's too dark. I think it was better with the light on.
That one?
No,
No.
that's shining in from the side. I think the first one you had on would be great.
Okay.
Okay, so a few of you still got your screens off. So I'm not sure whether you're here or not. We've got 1 minute to go. I'll let Linda take a few deep breaths.
Yes.
Well, I can do a tiny intro because Linda and I, you probably have gathered, Linda and I know each other, and we met at Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, yay.
Where we actually do something called Table Topics, which is impromptu speaking, which Rory will like because it's sort of improv, really. And Linda is a lovely storyteller. So I'm sure that whatever she's going to tell us will be very entertaining, a very lovely way about her. So I'm going to hand over to Linda. You've got 5 minutes. If you go over 5 minutes, I'll just play, but you won't do anything nasty.
Okay.
I will spotlight you on the screen, and I'm going to hand over to the risky biscuit for this evening, the lovely Linda Garson.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Well, as Lisa says, I've been a member of Toastmasters, and I've really enjoyed that. It's been a brilliant opportunity to develop your speaking skills. I don't belong now, but it's been great to make contact with Lisa again. So I'm just going to tell you a little story about me during lockdown. You see, I live on my own, and technology has really helped me. I've learned how to use Zoom and how to host Zoom. I've learned how to WhatsApp and FaceTime with the family. It's been absolutely brilliant. And of course, there's the basic email and there's text. Now, when I use text, I don't always put the person I want to contact, put them in my contacts, because I think, well, if I don't contact them very often, I'll just pop the number in and that'll be fine. And that turned out to be quite a big mistake, because recently I decided to send a friend a text which simply said, fancy a FaceTime call? And then I sent it and probably forgot about it because I had other things on my mind. And then a few days later, I thought to myself, now I wonder when my lawn is going to be cut. I'll just check with the man who cuts my lawn. And so I started to text him, and then his screen came up, and oh my goodness, there it was. I'd sent my text, fancy a FaceTime call, to the 50-year-old married man who cuts my lawn. I was so embarrassed. I just don't want to think about what he must have thought, this old bat sending him a text. So I then had to grovel and say, I'm terribly sorry. It was sent to you by mistake. So you can imagine my embarrassment when he came to cut my lawn. It was quick, hi, how are you? And it slammed the door quick and hid. So the moral of the story is, make sure you put people in your contact so you know who you're contacting. So I'm going to take Rory's example and I'm going to celebrate my mistake and learn from it. So in future, I shall keep improving my IT skills and make sure that I know who I'm texting.
Awesome.
Thank you, Linda. That was really, really good. I think we've all done that on occasions, haven't we? Sent a text message to the wrong person, and then you press the button, and then there's nothing you can do to send it back.
Yeah.
And I do remember sending before that we had text messaging, there was something called now was it called DOS messaging or something? And I used to do the daily backups at the company that I work for, and you had to send a message round to everybody's screen to say, please leave the system. But occasionally we used to send messages to each other, just silly messages, and I'd sent a rather cheeky message to a guy, but it went to everyone. And then my phone rang, and the wife of the managing director said, Mike wants to talk to you about this message you just sent, in a very, very serious voice. And I panicked, and then she started laughing. So it was all okay in the end, but it was a bit embarrassing. Anyway, thank you, Linda. When I next see you, I will give you your Risky Biscuit badge.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
You can take messages back on WhatsApp.
You can take messages back on, yes, you can on WhatsApp. You can delete them, can't you? But you can't on text, unfortunately. Okay, so we have two more wonderful speakers, and I'm now going to introduce the lovely Lorna Payne, who is going to tell us how to crush your phobias and discover your inner confidence. Now, Lorna is visually impaired transformational coach, specializing in destroying phobias and accessing confidence that you didn't even know you had. She had a life-changing experience herself, which destroyed a crippling lifelong phobia of her own, and now she's going to share her story with us today. So Lorna, I'm going to spotlight you on the screen. I know you were worried about your lighting, but actually now it looks pretty good.
I'm going to change my light.
So there we go. You are there. If you can you move your screen down a tiny bit so that we can see you? That's it. Perfect.
My internet is really dodgy, so if I disappear, I should reappear. It kind of cuts out for a few seconds and then comes back.
Okay, no worries.
If you can hear me, as Lisa said, I am visually impaired. I can't see you on my screen, so stay unmuted so I know you're there. It's good.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. So yeah, as Lisa said, I'm now a coach. I work to help people, but before that, I do have a little story for you, which is basically that I've always been fairly unafraid to try things. I've never been particularly worried about things. I actually did a sponsored abseil down the side of a cathedral once for charity. Genuinely at 10 AM on a Saturday morning, still drunk from the night before. That's how I like to do things. But there was one thing that I've always been, that I had always, lifelong, as long as I can remember, being afraid of, and that was flying. Now, lots of people have flying phobias. It's quite common. Anybody else here doesn't like flying?
Anyone not like flying?
No? Well, all right, it's fairly common. Clearly not here. That's fine.
Nobody wants to admit it.
No, that's all right. So about 4 years ago, my partner at the time booked for myself and her and two of our other friends to go to Barcelona for my birthday. which was great, very generous. I love Spain. I speak fairly okay Spanish, so I love going to Spain. And a month to the day before we were due to fly to Barcelona, I don't know if you remember this, about 4 or 5 years ago, a plane took off from Barcelona and the pilot deliberately crashed it into the Alps. He was severely depressed. And he had some serious issues, and he deliberately crashed his plane. And this, like I say, this was a month to the day before we were supposed to fly to Barcelona. And this plane had taken off from Barcelona, and it just sent my fear into overdrive. I genuinely believed that was how I was going to die. And I was coming out in sweats. I went to the doctor in that month to get my hormones tested because I thought I must be premenopausal because I kept coming out in sweats. And there was nothing wrong with me, of course. And it was just the phobia. We were in Barcelona for 48 hours, less than, well, 2 days, 2 nights. And I slept for an hour on one of those nights. And by the time we got back, I'd had such an awful time with my phobia that I was quite happy never ever to fly again. I thought, no, can't do it, it's too much. Even though I love Spain when I'm there and I love chasing the sun. I had a major falling out with my partner at the time when she said a week after we got back from Barcelona that she had the holiday blues and we must pick another one. But months went by and I thought, I must try it again, have to try it again. So we booked to go down to Malaga, down the south of Spain the following year, which, you know, it gets pretty warm down there. And I was excited about it. I was excited enough to want to go. And so we did, and we got there, and I have to say my level of anxiety was not as bad as it had been the year before, but it was still there. We take off from Gatwick, on our way, and that's always the tense bit, isn't it? Take off and landing. That's the bit where, well, in my head, that's the tense bit. That's the bit where you know it can go wrong. And we're coming into land towards Malaga. You know that bit when you're not cruising anymore, you're coming down through the clouds and it's getting a bit bumpy and you're a bit uppy downy. And that's normally when I would get all tense. My palms would sweat, my heartbeat would be going, and to the ground safely. Oh, internet connection's unstable. Okay, cool.
Go back, don't worry.
So yeah, we're coming into land, and this is the bit where I always get tense. And then I just had this moment, and the only word that I can use to describe it, the word I had at the time, was a bit of an epiphany. And I just realised that I'm already in the air, and whether I worried or not, what I did in the next 15 minutes as we're coming into land, it's not going to change whether we land safely or not. It's out of my hands, which I knew. I knew all of this. This was nothing that hadn't gone through my head before, nothing that people hadn't said to me before, you know, safest way of travel, all that. But it just clicked in my head in a way that's hard to describe. And for the first time ever in that situation, I relaxed and I sat back and enjoyed the ride like a little roller coaster, all the bumpy, uppy, downy bits, just thinking, okay, well, you know, if I worry, it's not going to make me any safer. So what's the point? I'm just going to ruin my own experience. And so I enjoyed the experience. That is something I never thought I would say. And I did, and I enjoyed it. And it's not been the same for me from then on. And flying particularly, but also just things in life. And this is before I did all my coaching training. And then I did my coaching training about the year after this. And I learnt from a trainer about a man called Sydney Banks. Now, there are other coaches here, so you may have heard of him. I was being taught about him from a coach. And he was alive in the 70s. So in the 70s, he was a welder from Scotland. And he had an experience. And the more I learnt about his experience, and he had a moment where he realised that all of our experience comes from the inside out and not from the outside in. It's a common misunderstanding that the feelings we have are influenced by what's going on the outside. Whereas actually what he realised is we could be in exactly the same room, having the same experience on the outside, but having completely different experiences on the inside. And this experience changed his life. And I learned about him and I thought, that sounds like what happened to me on that plane. And that's what made me fully believe in what he taught and what, he's dead now, but what people teach from him. And I would recommend you read any books he wrote, Sydney Banks, he's written a few. And it made sense to me. And now this forms the basis of my coaching methods and technique, is that if we can just realize, as Wendy said herself earlier, that fear is thought, and feelings, any feelings, come from thought. We do have control of that. And when you realize that you have that control, that is what can absolutely be a game changer. Because it's so easy. I know with all the fear I had around flying, I felt utterly out of control. And that almost, that makes it scarier. Realizing you have that control and you have that power over yourself to just relax. Make your experience what you want to make it, because it's yours, because you're creating it on the inside, not the outside. That is my life-changing story, and hopefully you can take something from it as well.
We certainly can, Lorna. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lorna. That was great.
Really, really good.
Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorna. Brilliant.
What was the? I didn't catch the name of the guy. What was his name?
Sydney Banks.
Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney Banks.
Want me to write it down?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I've not heard of him actually, but I've obviously heard of the theory of that.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Lorna?
I have something to share.
Go on, Liz.
I didn't put my hand up when you asked if anyone was scared of flying.
Okay.
But I am. But I did love to travel. I'm not sure anymore. Anyway, but so I had something that really helped me. Every time the plane was about to take off, I imagined these angels rolling out a magic carpet, and they were underneath the plane, and they would lift it up and they would support it all the way on my journey. And whenever I had a wobble, or the plane wobbled, I'd just go back to this vision, and it really helped me. It really helped me.
It's just, that's really good. And that, that continues on with the point of how much what we're creating on the inside actually affects what we're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Like the power of my realization was really, really helped me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Liz. Lovely. So anyone else got any questions for Lorna? Okay. So where can we find you, Lorna? If people want to find you and know more about your coaching and how you work with people, how can we get hold of you?
Yes. So my name is Lorna Payne, P-A-Y-N-E. Shall I put this in the chat?
Yeah, if you pop it in the chat box, then people can dig that out.
My Facebook, I've got Facebook, Twitter. I don't use LinkedIn half as much as I should. Everybody's saying business wise I should.
Could.
But I'm quite easy to find. I am Lorna the Payne.
Lovely. Lorna, yeah, it's there.
If you remember Lorna the Payne.
Lorna the Payne. Oh, fantastic, Lorna. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on for our final speaker, and I think this is going to be a really, really great way to end the evening. So we started off with lots of energy, and I think we're going to be finishing off the evening with some really nice deep breathing, but I don't know. So let me introduce our final speaker for the evening is Sarah Samuel. Her speech, Breathing Through Resistance, Opening to All That You Are. So Sarah supports people to open to all they could be using a combination of breathing, mindfulness, and creativity. So I'm going to hand over the screen to Sarah, I'm going to spotlight your video, and I will wave at you when you're nearly there. And over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you everyone for hanging on till the end. I know it's not always easy to be on Zoom for so long, so I really appreciate you being here. So yeah, my name's Sarah and I live in Brighton, and I've recently finished training as a breathwork facilitator. I have a background in management consultancy. I'm a published author on books on mindfulness, and I've taught meditation mindfulness for a number of years too. And I wanted to come on and talk about breathwork because this is something that has been really useful and helpful in my life. And one of the main things that I believe in life, and really is what my work's about, is that we're all, the purpose of life really is to become who we really are, to be our true nature. And one of the things that gets in the way is our fears, which we've been hearing about a lot this evening. And one of my main fears in life has been to be me. And I'll talk a little bit about my story, and then I'll talk about how breathwork has really supported me to unfold and to feel less fear about expressing who I am. And that's what I love to do, is support other people to express who they are in the world and to move through those fears. So yeah, a little bit about me. As a child, I was a model pupil. I did really well at school. I was head girl. I went on to university, and then I worked as a management consultant in London. And so everything was going really well in my life. I was ticking all the boxes of what I should be doing. And I found myself at the age of 27, living in London with a long-term boyfriend, thinking of buying a flat. Yet I would wake up in the morning and not want to get out of bed. I'd be crying in the morning, crying before I went to sleep at night. And I had absolutely no idea why. I'd done everything right. I was a success. And that I didn't know what was wrong. And I hated asking for help, but I didn't know what else to do. So one morning, in tears, I opened the Yellow Pages, and this is like 20 years ago. And I looked under psychotherapists, and I found a psychotherapist randomly. And that began my kind of realization that actually I'd been living a life that wasn't mine. I'd been living a life that pleased other people, what my parents wanted from me, what society wanted from me, what the school wanted from me. And what I realized is I didn't know what I wanted. And that was what the real issue was. And I didn't even know how to start, but I did know that I had to get away. And I went traveling. And I went traveling for about 10 years. Really, I wanted to find myself out there. And I followed lots of gurus, spiritual leaders, shamanism, Buddhism, mystical traditions, which I absolutely loved. And I loved the teachings about how love matters. We're all connected, and that mistakes are really important to make, and that we're all unique. Yet that didn't. It still informed a lot of my life, but it didn't give me any clues as to, well, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? And I had a baby in Italy and split up with my partner in Italy and moved to Brighton about 10 years ago. And I took up a class in pottery, and I'd loved creating things at the time as a child. I was quite artistic as a child, but that was never developed because I thought I had to be academic. I did sciences, I did economics. Art wasn't a thing that was encouraged. And I discovered at the age of 37 with a piece of clay in front of me that I absolutely loved creating with clay. And this relationship that I had with clay was completely my expression of who I am in this clay. So what I made was completely unique to everyone else. I also realized I brought with me a lot of my mental critic. So, you know, that's not good enough. You're not fast enough. That person's is better. And I realized that my relationship with the clay and my experience with clay was actually like a metaphor for life, and that what I put into what I was doing, whether it was in my work, whether it was as a parent, it was all about my own expression and my own take on things. And I was still working in management consultancy then. Yeah, my heart wasn't in it. I knew kind of the way to be, I knew the way to think. I was in marketing strategy, I knew how to do financial forecasts, yet my heart wasn't in it, and it wasn't aligned with kind of my new desire to be expressing who I am. So about 4 years ago, that led me to, leaving my work to set up a new business, which is around being creative. I was teaching what I most needed to learn. And I started doing courses on creativity, using clay and helping people to be more creative. And then I ended up writing a book on mindful crafting, which was really about that story. And as I began setting up my business, what I realized was I had a lot of fears around visibility and speaking up. Although I'm absolutely fine doing a bungee jump or flying, I was terrified of speaking in public. That was my kind of absolute fear, and it still is. You know, I'm quite nervous. I can feel myself. I can feel my heart beating. But what has really helped me, and I have, you know, I've meditated for a long time, and meditation is fantastic in realizing what, you know, the difference between our true nature and our conditioning. But what has really supported me was breath work. And about 2 years ago, I went to a breath work class in Brighton, and I realized that as I breathe in a conscious way, my breath is like a story of my life. And as I became focused on my breath, as it rises and falls, I realized that at certain points I was holding. So whenever we feel fear, for example, and if we then pay attention to our breath, we'll either be holding the breath, so freezing, or we'll be breathing just in our chest, so ready for fight or flight. And when we become conscious of our breath, then we can actually move through fear. And I began to do something called conscious connected breathing, which is a breathwork technique which helps us to get into a really deep meditative state and a kind of an alternate state. And that means that our mind is put to one side. All the fears that we can feel whenever we do something that pushes our comfort zone. So if we do this technique, we can then, to music, and it's in a held space, the mind kind of switches off and we can open up to more of who we are. And the other thing that happens is emotions can be felt. So for me, for example, the first time I did a breathwork session, I got an enormous sense of when I was a child and my mother being quite critical of me and quite cold, and feeling a lot of anger. So a lot of anger arose, and then through the breathing, to keep breathing through the anger, I then realized that she was also a product of how she was brought up, and kind of expanded my awareness of the whole situation. So the end was forgiveness. And I think this is what breathwork can really support us in doing. It can help us to really connect more deeply with who we are by letting go of some of those held in emotions that keep us from being who we are. So I want to kind of end a little bit with breathing, because it's something that I know that we're all doing right now. And I want to bring awareness to your breath. So if you, you might want to close your eyes. If you tap into your breath right now, and without changing it, just become aware of your breath. And become aware of how your body is moving. Maybe your chest rises slightly. Maybe your belly moves a little. And notice the rhythm of your breath. And as you become more aware of your breath, it naturally will deepen. You don't need to put any effort in. And now I want you to imagine a time when you might feel scared. So it could be when you're about to fly, or it could be about when you're about to speak in public. Imagine a time that kind of scares you a bit. Now notice your breath. And notice if the pauses get longer, if you're holding a little, or if the breath gets more shallow. So at times like this, when you're feeling a bit scared, or there's something, it's really helpful just to come into your breath and hold yourself. Just noticing your breath, because that is the way in which we can loosen the hold in which fear has over us. So I wanted to leave you with that. And there are so many more ways that breath can support us and has supported me. So do reach out if you want to ask more. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That was really lovely. So we started the evening off with energy, and we've finished the evening off with that calm. And you have a very calm nature that comes across. So that was wonderful.
Thank you,
Does
Lisa.
anybody have any questions for Sarah? Anybody waving? Nobody's waving.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, Linda, yes.
How long do you do your breathing exercises for during the day?
My personal practice, it varies. I don't do the same thing every day. What I do is every day is become at different points in the day. I tap into my breath and become aware of it, and the consciousness of the breath really helps. I do about 3 or 4 sessions of conscious connected breathing a week, which is a 30-minute breathwork to music, which supports me to really connect, which I do as a kind of meditation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lorna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious. as I have been a lifelong sufferer of insomnia, and I'm wondering how you use your breath in terms of aiding sleep.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so I'm not sure if you're aware, we have a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is when we're kind of ready for action, and the parasympathetic is when we calm down, and the breath is directly connected to that. So the inhale, if we want to liven ourselves up, we want to stimulate the sympathetic nervous system, so we inhale more. So we make the inhale longer. But if we want to relax our system, then we use the exhale, a longer exhale. So you may do an inhale for the count of 4 and an exhale for the count of 8. And that will calm the body down. So that's the kind of breathing you could do if you're feeling you can't sleep.
And so I didn't know that.
Really simple.
Yeah, really simple. I didn't know that at all. Thank you. Anybody else? Quick question, Jax?
Just wanted to know when do you know when to breathe through your nose, and when do you actually breathe through your mouth if you were panicking, for instance?
Okay, yeah. Generally, nose breathing is recommended because there are all sorts of advantages of breathing through the nose, into filtration, and there are chemical differences. However, if you obviously, if you're running or doing any activity, the mouth breathe. If you want more oxygen into your system, you need to breathe through the mouth. So, was that the question? Can you just, did I answer?
Well, if you were in a panic situation, yeah. What would you suggest?
So if you're in a panic situation, I would suggest nasal breathing, because that's also to do with the parasympathetic nervous system, but longer exhales. Yeah, so similar to, if you find it difficult to sleep, you really want to relax your body, because if you're panicking, there's too much energy in the fight or flight. Yeah, and you want to kind of bring a balance into your system, so that you can also have blood going to the brain as well as to the muscles.
And what was your book called again?
So my first book was called Mindful Crafting.
Yeah, so where can people find you, Sarah?
So you can find me on sarahsamuel.co.uk. I've got a new 6-week online course starting the week after next, if you're interested in going a bit deeper into breath work, and that's called Breathing Through Resistance, specifically designed if you've got anything that you'd love to do but feeling a bit scared, so maybe writing a book or starting a new business. So I'll write it in the chat box, Sarah Samuel.
Pop it in the chat box, and then everybody can get hold of it.
Great. And did you say first book? Have you written more than one book?
Yeah. Yes, I wrote a second book which was released last year called Mindful Travelling, because that's another of my passions.
That's a talk for another time, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. And there's not much travelling we can do right now.
No, that's very true. Oh, well, thank you, Sarah. That's fantastic. Do we have one more? Sorry,
sorry, it was from me, Zoe.
Zoe, yeah, go for it.
I was just going to ask whether, you said about you do the conscious connected breathing 3 times a week. Is that like a class that people can join you at, Sarah?
Oh, yeah, good question. I do it on my own, but I hold a couple of sessions a week. So I'm part of the Brighton Breathwork Circle, and we do one every Friday morning at 10 o'clock. And then if you look on my website, I do a number of other ones. One's going to be on a Monday morning and another on a Wednesday evening. And if you're interested, there are quite a few going on online at the moment, and quite a lot of them are free. So yeah.
Do you still work with clay, Sarah?
I haven't been since lockdown, because where I used to go to a studio, and I haven't been able to. But I also make jewelry, so I still do that, and a bit of painting. So yeah.
Thank you so much. That's really, really great.
Thank you, Lisa.
So, ladies and gents, we have come to the end of our evening now. If anybody has a question for any of our speakers, now is your chance to ask before we come to an end. So if anybody has any questions, just pop your hand up, wave at me frantically. But if not, you can save the chat the chat box before you leave, and you'll have all the speakers' information, but also Inspiring Talks Brighton, our network page, and also our normal Facebook page will have all of the details, so you can catch up with our speakers for this evening. So, at the beginning of the evening, I talked about having a smile on your face and a heart full of light and a head full of inspiration. I would like to know whether or not that is how you are all feeling now.
Yeah.
I can put you on gallery view so I can see. Hopefully you're all nodding and waving. Fabulous. So thank you very much for coming to Inspiring Talks Brighton. We have one more event for our summer season, which will be on the 16th of July. So if you're around on Thursday, the 16th of July, I don't know whether we'll be back at the venue, but if we're not at the venue, we'll certainly be back online. So please do come and join. We've got another 5 amazing speakers, and tickets are going to be on sale for that event probably tomorrow, if not over the weekend. Please, could you leave me a review on the Facebook page just to let me know what you thought, what you learned, what you would say to somebody that would possibly be interested in coming to Inspiring Talks. Spread the word, that would be fantastic. But for now, I'm Lisa Moore. This is Inspiring Talks Brighton. The evening is done. Thank you very much for coming. And I will see you all very, 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 very soon.
Thanks
And
very much.
a nice round of applause for our speakers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.